It is Sunday the 31st of May and it's the second Sunday of Stash Dash, so I thought I would make a little video and let you see what I've been up to crafty wise this week. First of all, I have got 3 more squares for my solid granny square blanket, which I'm making to raise money for the charity that I work for in one of my jobs. I am making squares with Jamieson & Smith 2-ply jumper weight and every square with a different coloured centre. I have got, they look slightly messy because I've got a tail from each square still attached to use to join them up. And this is going to be about double bed sized. It's been a wee while since I've laid all the squares out, so I actually need to do that quite soon and see how we're doing in terms of actually having a solid shape. I may have too many or too few squares. I'm using up some stash that was gifted to me and I think I've got about 10 more colours left to use, so I really should do a proper setting out quite soon and see what's missing, or I maybe have exactly the right number of squares and not enough colours to do another row, so we shall see. But I'm hoping that I will be able to start sewing this up probably in the next week or 2, which is going to be quite a big project, but that'll be grand. I've also added a few squares to my Cozy Memories blanket, which is loosely based on the design by Kemper Wray. I can't remember if this blue and pink one had been done last week, but certainly this bright pink one, this blue, grey and yellow one, and then this kind of black and multicoloured one I've made this week for sure. These 3 have been made using minis that were given to me in our advent calendar swap that I did with 5 of my knitting friends, I think. We all wound up 10 gram minis, I think, from stash and scrap yarn. 1 or 2 bought minis as well. So I don't know what yarns really these are. I think I did manage to find out roughly what they were from each person on each day of Advent, but I haven't gone back to look at that. But this one is, what is it again? It is from the Wool Kitchen and it's the Dark Side of Ziggy colourway. I bought this to make a pair of socks as a gift, but I also have 2 skeins of a slightly older version of this colourway, I think, that I bought at EYF a few years ago, and I've never quite found the right project for it. My current thinking is to buy some similar yarn but in a pale colour, or at least a solid colour, and make a timely cardigan, but I'm not 100% sure. I think the yarn on its own is just a little bit too wild for my colour aesthetic, much as I love looking at it. I just can't really see myself wearing something made just out of this, so yep, that's my current thinking for that yarn. I have only a tiny bit left of the skein I used for the socks, and that will just go into my blanket at various points as I get further along. And I have one standalone finished item, which is my Soft-Hearted Cowl by Maddie Harvey. So that's the front and the back. And this is size 1. The pattern has 3 different sizes, so the second size you knit exactly the same as this, and then you reverse your colours and work the design in reverse essentially. So whereas we've got a triangle coming to a peak at the bottom and widening out at the top, the triangle comes in and meets in a peak again at the opposite end. And the third size I haven't looked too closely at, but you're working this way. I think it is still a tube construction, so you've got a double thickness of fabric all the way around your neck, and obviously you knit a lot longer and then join up the sort of top and bottom of your tube to make a tube to go around your neck. I've knit this from La Bien-Aimée Tough Sock, which is 75% PFL and 25% nylon. It was a sock buddies set, I think they called them, where the cream, don't know if this will focus in, but the cream or speckled was the main shade, so a full skein of that, and then a mini of the pink for heels, toes and cuffs. I got it at EYF in 2017, I think, and I've got quite a lot left over, so I'm looking out for things to do with that. But yeah, I'm really pleased with it. Maddie released this design on the day of, just pop it on, try and not hit the microphone, the day of Operation Social Justice or Social Justice Warrior. I can't quite remember what that project was called, but that was in March and organised by Gamer Crafting, I think. So Maddie released this design for that day and had proceeds from the sale of the pattern going to, I think, a race related charity in Glasgow. I should have checked that out. I'll put a link in the description box below which organisation she had funds going towards. And I also have 3 skeins of yarn I bought that day. Each of those had donations going to different charities and organisations. I have plans to make socks with the other 3 skeins of yarn, but goodness only knows when that's going to happen. I have an awful lot of things I want to start that I have yarn for, so it's just a case of finding the time and finishing a few things first. But yeah, so it's quite a tall cowl, but it does drape and sit quite nicely around the neck. I can't really see what you're seeing because I only get a tiny view of myself while I'm filming in Camtasia, but I like it. Don't need it at the moment because the weather is beautiful, although it's always cold in my flat, so cowls are worn regularly all year round. I have been knitting on quite a few different projects this week, but mostly they don't really look like they've made any progress, which is slightly frustrating, but hey ho. But the one project that definitely has made some progress since the last video is my rockweed cushion cover, which is a design by Kate Bostwick of Cowtown Knits. And what I've got here so far, the stockinette section is part of the back, and then we'll have this reverse stockinette and cable section on the front. I have actually knit the front section twice because I was working on the stockinette section in a work Zoom meeting that went on a bit longer, and I didn't have any notes that I needed to be taken or anything like that, so knitting away, and I thought, yeah, I think I can cope with the chart and still concentrate. And I did concentrate on the meeting and not on the chart, and I left too few stitches in this middle bit. So what would have happened, apart from having too big over here, was that these cables, so the design has this one here is essentially going to shape out into a diamond and then back, and then quite a long cable to the top, and the one on the other side is the opposite, so it'll be quite a long cable and then out into a diamond and back and a short bit. So the diamonds sort of sit like this, but they do come quite close together, and with the number of stitches I'd left in the middle, they were actually going to collide. So that was not ideal. But because it's super bulky yarn, it didn't take long to work back up. I'm using Erica Knight maxi yarn for this project. So yeah, I think I just had to pause because I had a surprise delivery of ice creams from my friends. That was so nice. I don't really remember what I was saying. I think I had finished showing you rockweed. I think I was about to say that I've made a little plan of what I want to finish each week, and next up is supposed to be my Rooibos hat, but it's only on the rib still, so I might just focus on the rockweed and get that finished for next weekend instead. I'm going to go and eat this ice cream. Finally blocking my Ace Light shawl, hooray!